All right, all right. Hey, hey. Sorry, Ophiuchus, I'm a mess. Let's go ahead and grab a little storytelling for you guys. I didn't want to leave you out. You guys got this is your second one actually of the week. You guys did get one earlier this week in honor of the year of the fire horse on the 17th. Well, we shifted over on the 17th, but I think your video was posted on the 19th. And now let's get you one just in general, see what other energy we have right now. We have a Six of Wands in the reverse, and we have a Six of Swords upright. So we're rocking the double sixes. So this could be trying to bring in some balance. It does say something that either Ophiuchus did not feel was very successful, they are moving on from. This could be something that was pulling Ophiuchus down, that was draining them. Of course, this could be someone other than Ophiuchus as well. I don't know for sure who is who just yet, but I would say there is a situation here, and this could be a masculine Ophiuchus. Doesn't have to be. I read more for energy than gender, but right now we have a masculine on both of those cards. But it's like, you know how some things in life, if we're not good at it, it's like, oh well, I just need to keep at it and work harder, and then I become proficient. And then there's other things in life where it's like, no, see, this isn't for me. This is honestly a really poor fit. I don't like it. And it's kind of throwing me off. I feel like it's creating chaos in my life and I'd rather move on. That seems to be the right choice on this one. Remember, these are fictional stories about fictional characters, but with the sun upright, it's like, oh, my life's getting so much easier, so much better, so much brighter. Yes, I needed to let go of something. I needed to move on. And now that I can, now that I am, oh, my whole life is getting easier, better, calmer. It's really quite nice and quite lovely that maybe this is some of that energy for the year of the fire horse, where let me put it like this. Sometimes I think we've all been hired at a job and it just didn't click for us. It could have even been something that we're really talented in, really skilled at, but there's something about, you go to the place and you start working there and you're like, this doesn't fit with me. None of this is vibing. I can't get a flow. Maybe it's the feng shui in the building, or maybe it's the clientele, or maybe it's the way management runs it, or maybe it's just me feeling like this isn't the side of town I'm meant to be on, because somehow there's my internal subconscious is saying I need to be aligned somewhere else for the next chapter of my life. I have to do something different. I have to be on a different side of town. Look, there's so many internal guidance systems that are hard for us to understand, but the one thing that gets easy for us to understand is, does this make me stress out, or does it make my life better? Is this something that I want to keep working at, or is this something that I would actually benefit from leaving behind because I know it's not part of my life path? And when we can answer that question with confidence, then we can move forward. And that's what our character did. They were able to say, it's not for me. This could have been someone, this could have been something, but there's no backtracking on this. We have Queen of Cups upright. We have Five of Swords. Maybe this is why it wasn't working. It could be that Ophiuchus is going to piss somebody off badly when they choose to let something go or to walk away from something. But it's like, I'm doing it for my peace. And maybe this will explain why Ophiuchus couldn't stay. This could be a relationship. It could be like, wow, I can't deal with this person. It's too much conflict, too much fighting, too much of all of that. Exactly. And the way this ends, they're not happy for me. They're not understanding. They're just going to be pissed. Well, that also explains why this was the right choice for me to move on. Now I can breathe. So it does feel like Ophiuchus is shifting from masculine energy of making their decision and projecting forward, because that's, the energy of the sun is the masculine. And then the energy of the moon is the feminine. And that's the, like, I am able to receive, like a sense of peace. And even if they're mad, I can receive that also and say, I'm not mad at you. I understand you're mad at me for choosing to move on or choosing to not do this anymore, but I'm doing it for my sense of peace It's a right choice for me. So I just feel like Ophiuchus is going to be very content because they are leaving something behind that isn't right for them. And there is so much resolution here with the Strength card. This is Ophiuchus absolutely 100% positive. This is what I want to do. I want to let something go. The person who's angry, who is this? 8 of Wands. They may send a message that's not going to be worded very nicely. We have the teacher, which is the Hierophant. We have the Death card sideways. It's interesting because they may be angry, but they may also be trying a guilt trip. Like, you shouldn't leave. You shouldn't be done because I invested, or you made a promise, or something, because the Hierophant can be about, legalities and things that we signed our name to and belief systems. But keep in mind, this is their belief system. And it's very convenient, and I think it's very common for human beings to change their belief systems when it suits them. Become, I believe this is right because I benefit from this belief system. We see it all the time. We see it, big time in politics. We see it big time sometimes in any kind of group scenario where it's like, I'm going to join this group because I benefit from being here. And so then I will espouse the views of that group and say, this is what I believe because it's good for me. I get more money, or I get comfort, or I have security in some way. It's not necessarily because I really believe it, but it's what I believe right now because that would get me what I want. And I'm sorry to say it that way. It's just this person seems angry. Then they seem to be sending like multiple messages stating their persuasive argument, which is trying to make it sound like I'm in the right and you're in the wrong. You shouldn't stop doing what I want you to do because, see, I'm operating from this higher perspective where this is what's right. And I would just be wary of somebody who tries to use especially if this is like a supposed moral perspective of why you need to do what I said you need to do because I'm angry that you aren't going to do what I said. So let me argue it with you by telling you I'm the authority and you have to do this or you're bad. Like if that's what they're arguing with, I would definitely, we already saw the flash of anger toward Ophiuchus. So I would say that right there. You wouldn't be mad if you didn't feel like you were losing something that you wanted. And then try to convince Ophiuchus, kind of like this feels a little browbeaty to me. This feels a little, not exactly just persuasive. This isn't like, okay, I understand, Ophiuchus, you don't want to work these hours anymore. This isn't the, the area of, career you want to pursue, but could you hang on like another 2 months while we get somebody else trained up and hired instead of just doing 2 weeks? That would be a totally different story. Instead, this is somebody who's like trying kind of a ferocious approach to persuasion. We have the Star. They know Ophiuchus is amazing, but I don't feel like they're saying that. I don't feel like this is, or let's say this is about love and romance. I don't feel like this is somebody saying, Ophiuchus, you are literally one of the best things that ever happened to me. You are spectacular. You have made my life better. So of course it's really sad, that you want to move on. I'm hurt and I'm sad for me, but I also, what? You're amazing. And that's really why I'm sad to see you go. That's not the approach they're taking here. Instead, it's like, well, you promised you'd stay, so you have to. No, that's not how that works. You can't control other people. I feel like this individual, at the end of the day, look, why would you ever want to lose an amazing Ophiuchus? You wouldn't. So I can understand their frustration, but the fact they know Ophiuchus is really fantastic, and they're kind of more or less throwing a temper tantrum instead. See, we've got the Nurturer of Cups in the reverse, so they are using emotional manipulation tactics. Okay, so they want to be taken care of. I can now go ahead and say that. This is somebody who knows that Ophiuchus is loving and giving, and they know that Ophiuchus will give to them and they don't want that to be taken away. So they're using an emotional manipulation tactic, probably for a guilt purpose. Ophiuchus, is this going to work at all? I'm thinking this is exactly why Ophiuchus was like, no, this is why I'm walking away. 6 of Pentacles. That's exactly why Ophiuchus is walking away. They're saying, look, this person has a habit of always saying that they need more. They never paid attention to the fact that it was supposed to be an equal give and take. Whether this was about romance or whether this was about business, the bottom line is still the same. They never looked at it as if this was supposed to be an equal give and take. They always looked at it as I was supposed to give them the things that they wanted, and then they could say that we were in an equal give and take. But it wasn't that way. It was one-sided. They waited for me to fill their cup. That's not the way it was supposed to go. And with the star, this is Ophiuchus saying, and so I would like to move away from this. This is a card of distance. This is also a card of following one's own inner guidance system. This is also a card of healing. And I would just say, Ophiuchus maybe had already spent a lot of time with words explaining to this person, and I don't know that it got through to them. So I think in the end, Ophiuchus is like, I've come to the conclusion we're not going to have success together. I've come to the conclusion, and I'm content knowing that it's right for me to move on. And I mean, with the double dose of Leo energy, our Ophiuchus could have strong Leo placements, also strong water placements. But there's something here where it's like, I know in my heart of hearts, I'm supposed to move on. And so that's what I'm doing. And I don't think any amount of their arguing is going to change Ophiuchus's mind. If anything, Ophiuchus is probably going to say, if you're upset with me for going, then that's another reason why it's probably better if I do go. Because, it's your expectation is something I'm not going to be able to meet. That's not how this is going to work. I just think Ophiuchus is done. They already said everything that they had to, and they made the decision. So as Ophiuchus moves on from this, let me just ask, where do things go from here? Empress and 10 of Wands. In this storyline, this situation was really holding Ophiuchus back, and they were perpetually feeling heavily burdened and guilted by whomever that is. Again, if this is a situation where Ophiuchus were with the wrong person who was emotionally manipulating them, then it was preventing Ophiuchus from meeting the person that they'll actually marry. So now they actually can. If this was in like career or business, this could have been the boss that knew Ophiuchus is a freaking star and wanted to keep Ophiuchus only working for them, but not outshining them. So could have been, I don't know, kind of like hamstringing and not allowing Ophiuchus to really do what they're meant to do. Because now Ophiuchus seems like they're having this massive glow up, because, the Empress can be somebody that is this amazing, boss, runs their own company, their own business, makes real name for themselves. Now, the last thing I could interpret this as is this could have even been someone that didn't really ever want Ophiuchus to just spread their wings and do their own thing, because we do have like a parent-child relationship. I don't know if Ophiuchus has their own child, but they had like a parental figure that was like always telling them, how to parent or parenting around them. And Ophiuchus is finally like, look, I get to raise my own kiddo because I'm the mama or the papa. I'm the person who's in charge. I can't have you like acting like you're supportive, but really either usurping my own position with my own baby, or have you still kind of, I don't know, making it seem like you're helping me, but then you also are scolding me or something. Like I can do this myself. There's some kind of energy of like just having the freedom to really shine and really go in the direction Ophiuchus has known that they've needed to go for a long time, which meant they needed to distance themselves from this connection. Can I just ask one last thing? What happens with this individual who admittedly did not want to see Ophiuchus go, maybe for selfish reasons, but gosh, Three of Swords and Eight of Swords. It is a tough one because they seem to be very, very sad, but they're always sad for themselves and they don't seem to be growing much. And that's, I can feel compassionate for somebody, but I can also say, but you're making your like, by wanting everything your way instead of being somebody that is willing to work with others, you're creating the drama. So you've created your own heartbreak here by being kind of entitled and manipulative. Well, that's something you need to learn to work on. And you can't do that as long as you have somebody else there that you're manipulating. You have to stop manipulating and work on you. So, as I mean, maybe it sounds like tough love, but it feels like this person really needs to grow as a person. And they can't do that as long as Ophiuchus is there. I'm feeling more like this was an ex. And it's interesting how this storyline could have been, any gender as always, but it almost feels like this was Ophiuchus's ex who really didn't want them to go, but they also didn't really want to grow very much or grow up. And it still looks like they're mostly just going to be sad that Ophiuchus is walking away, but maybe they need to be solo so they can start to learn about themselves, so they can change this pattern that they're doing. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Bye.